Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you like this episode, please remember to hit the like button and leave a comment or two, then subscribe and click on the bell to receive notifications of whenever we release new videos. Also, please remember to share them to your social media. Welcome back to Scary Bear Attacks. Today's episode takes us to George Lake, just outside of the small town of Delta Junction, Alaska. The city of Fairbanks is about 90 miles north, and the U.S.-Canada border is only 105 miles east, depending on how far you stretch the measuring tape. The Tanana River system starts just inside the national boundary and winds its way through the Tanana River Valley, where it meets the Delta River. To the north lay the White Mountains, and at their foot rests George Lake. The lake has become a trophy fishing mecca, with abundant northern pike pulled from its icy waters. With a subarctic climate, winters will frequently dip below minus 40 degrees. The majority of precipitation will fall as snow, with average accumulations approaching 5.5 feet each year. Common plants in this area include black and white spruce, American dwarf birch, with aspen trees creating a canopy above wild lingonberry, crowberry, and bog blueberry, yielding their delicious fruits. Roaming the forests here, you'll find moose and wood bison. The predators here include lynx, coyotes, wolves, black bears, and brown bears. On Thursday, June 7, 2013, 64-year-old Robert Weaver and his wife were arriving at their lakeside cabin. Robert was the owner of George Lake Recreation Rentals and was aided in his business by his doting wife, whom we'll call Rita. As they pulled up to the dock in front of the cabin, they could see a black bear very close to it. Tethering the boat to the dock, they began to yell at it in an attempt to drive it off. The brush nearby seemed more inviting, so the bear took shelter there, while keeping an eye on the couple, now making their way ashore. Now burdened by the items they were carrying toward the cabin, Robert and Rita were distracted and seemed to have lost focus on the black bear. As they walked the path toward the cabin, the bear must have circled around to approach them from a hidden location on the side of the trail. As Robert walked past the concealed black bear, it leapt out of the bushes and tackled him to the ground. The bear's teeth latched onto Robert's flesh as its claws tore at him. He yelled out for Rita to get to the cabin as the bear straddled him. Rita quickly made her way into the cabin and looked out the window, hoping that Robert would fight the bear off and get inside with her. She realized that she would need to help him, as the bear was overwhelming him with its power and tattering his flesh. Rita searched the coat closet for a hunting rifle that was stored there. Picking it up, she knew she'd have to risk injuring her husband further in order to save his life. She bolted for the door and was soon standing only a few feet from Robert, who was still thrashing in resistance to the bear. Now Robert knew how to handle this rifle, and always took care of anything involving it, but that responsibility now fell to Rita. She was woefully unfamiliar with how to operate the rifle, and managed to partially work around into the chamber before jamming the action, rendering it useless. The rifle jammed at the most critical time of need. She pried at the rifle and tried to dislodge the cartridge, but knew her husband didn't have much time. Reaching a point of frustration, Rita ran back into the cabin and grabbed anything she thought she could throw at the bear. Approaching the angry Bruin, she would throw item after item at the bear, but it focused on her husband, regardless of her actions and screams. While Rita threw things at the bear, it periodically glanced toward her, but stubbornly returned to mauling her husband. She knew that she could do nothing to save his life, and her mind drifted to what the bear would do once Robert was dead. Deciding that after it was finished with her husband, it would come for her, Rita made her way back into the cabin. She blockaded the door with furniture and sheltered inside, hoping the bear would leave her alone, but her hopes would soon prove to be in vain. The black bear approached the front door to the cabin and began prying at the blocked door. It pushed and pulled at any aspect of the door it could work its claws into. The bear wasn't satisfied with having Robert's corpse to eat, as it clearly wanted to kill Rita as well. Rita knew she had to reach out for help, as the bear was not scared of her, no matter what she did. She used her cell phone to dial 911 and begged for immediate help. Alaska State Troopers boarded an R-44 helicopter and tried to land near the cabin, but the terrain was too treacherous. The muskeg and dense stands of trees surrounding the cabin forced them to reconsider their rescue plan.
Eielson Air Force Base sent out a rescue team aboard an HH-60 Pave Hawk helicopter, which was equipped with a hoist. As the helicopter hovered, a black bear busted from brush and menaced the men emerging from it. A warning shot sent the black bear into the nearby brush, allowing them to proceed with their mission. The helicopter dropped a team of rescuers nearby the cabin as an additional patrol officer was brought in by boat. They made their way to the cabin by 9 p.m. to rescue Rita and recover Robert's body. With all of the din from the helicopter and the airboat, the bear had been driven off of Robert's corpse. With Rita now safe, the authorities began an investigation into her husband's death. They were marking out the area and any evidence they could find when a black bear lunged from the brush and tried to attack one of the troopers. But this trooper was armed, unlike Robert, and ended the bear's violence with a fast dose of lead pacification. With the bear now dead, questions began to fill their minds. Was this the same bear that had stalked and killed Robert, or could it be a second bear? Robert's corpse was placed in a cadaver pouch and flown to a coroner's office in Anchorage for an autopsy. The bear's carcass was driven to Fairbanks for a necropsy and analysis by the Alaska Department of Fish and Game. Authorities were most interested in determining if the bear that had returned to the scene was in fact the bear that had killed and partially consumed Robert Weaver. After analyzing the bear's carcass and measuring the distance between its teeth to compare to the wounds on Robert's corpse, state biologists arrived at a conclusion. They determined that the bear was a middle-aged male, likely between 10 and 20 years of age. It weighed 230 pounds and had ample body fat, so it was not starving. Examining it for illness revealed that it was not rabid or infected by any other disease. Apart from its molars being worn down, the bear had no significant health problems. During the analysis, the bear's stomach was opened up to examine its contents. Tissues from Robert's body were found inside, indicating this had indeed been the bear that ate Robert, but was it the bear that had killed him? The investigation included a survey of the immediate area, and it indicated that there were no other bears in the vicinity. Given the lack of other bears, the black bear that was shot after sneaking up on the troopers was deemed the bear that also killed and consumed Robert Weaver. Authorities were quick to point out that there are 5 key factors to avoid being attacked by a bear. They state that people should avoid surprising bears, approaching them, or feeding them. Campers should avoid pitching camp on or near a trail and avoid bear food caches. But this advice isn't absolute, as Mr. Weaver's relative points out in a public letter following their uncle's attack. Weaver's nephew or niece points out that the black bear had been run off by the Weavers once before leaping from brush to ambush Robert, so it clearly was not surprised by their presence. The Weavers were trying to avoid the bear and hadn't set food out for it, so the second and third of the 5 factors do not apply either. They were entering their cabin, so they hadn't encroached upon a bear trail or travel route. During their investigation, authorities found no food caches the bear could have been defending, and it was a male, so it was not protecting its cubs. After excluding any other possibilities, the black bear's actions were deemed strictly predatorial. Following watching her husband be killed and eaten, then having the bear try to gain access to her inside of the cabin, Rita was left with PTSD. She'll likely have to deal with lingering effects from this attack the rest of her life. Over the last 50 years, there have been only 4 fatal black bear maulings in the state of Alaska, averaging at about 1 every 10 years. There are estimated to be 100,000 black bears in Alaska. After reviewing the facts surrounding this episode, I'm left with a few questions for you. With a very high population of black bears in Alaska, are you surprised at the low rate of fatal maulings by them? Do you think the presence of brown bears caused black bears to be less predatory or territorial? Given this bear was healthy and didn't have a lot of competition, why did it suddenly decide to start predating on human beings? Do you plan to start teaching people you go into the woods with how to operate firearms and carry bear spray? I hope so. I'll be glad to read and respond to your thoughts, so please post them in the comments section below and let's talk about it.
Thank you for watching Scary Bear Attacks. If you've enjoyed this episode, please consider clicking on the like button and clicking on the bell icon. We'll help you know when we post our new episodes. Posting our video links to your social media profiles furthers awareness, and it's fun. We slashed our prices in our merch store, linked below, so check out the bargains there while you shop. As a member of our human community, remember to adventure bravely and be careful out there, especially in bear country.